To begin there with the president's State of the Union address, which was, in fact, the longest in U.S. history. The president claimed the nation's economy is strong, despite polls showing most Americans feel otherwise. He also clashed with Democrats in the room on a range of issues, including the ICE tactics at the root of the partial government shutdown. And in true Trump fashion, there were theatrical surprises, including a bipartisan celebration of the gold medal-winning U.S. men's Olympic hockey team. Nancy Cordes is at the White House. Nancy, good morning. It was a long one last night.
It sure was, Nora. In fact, the speech clocked in at 1 hour and 48 minutes, which is 11 minutes longer than the previous record, which was also held by President Trump. Affordability and the economy dominated the first half of the speech, with Trump insisting his policies will pay off and sometimes inflating the impact they have had already. There were a couple of truly tense moments and some very moving ones that brought the entire room to its feet.
The state of our union is strong.
Speaking to Congress and the country, President Trump argued the first year of his second term was historic.
We ended DEI in America. We gave you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it.
He hammered that point home by bringing out these winners, the U.S. Olympic men's ice hockey team. The new gold medalists managed to do what most politicians can't: unite a normally divided chamber. But there was still plenty of division, like this moment when Trump sought to put Democrats in a tight spot on immigration.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up.
His move prompted shouting from a small group of Democrats.
Removal of criminal aliens.
Trump hit back on the issue of voter ID, falsely claiming that Democrats have been rigging elections.
They want to cheat, they have cheated, and their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat, and we're going to stop it.
On the economy, Trump said he wants another round of tax cuts, and he touted a new plan to keep electricity prices low when AI companies and tech companies build data centers.
This is a unique strategy never used in this country before. We have an old grid. It could never handle the kind of numbers, the amount of electricity that's needed. So I'm telling them they can build their own plant.
Perhaps the most moving moment came when Trump awarded the Medal of Honor to Army helicopter pilot Eric Slover, who was wounded in the daring Venezuela raid last month. National Guardsman Andrew Wolf was awarded the Purple Heart. He was shot and nearly killed while patrolling D.C. late last year.
With God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, and we're talking about the edge.
Is the president working for you? We all know the answer is no.
The Democratic response to Trump's address was delivered this year by Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger, who was sworn in last month after serving in the House for 6 years.
He's enriching himself, his family, his friends. The scale of the corruption is unprecedented.
She targeted Trump's personal behavior in office.
There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto scams, cozying up to foreign princes for airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms, putting his name and face on buildings all over our nation's capital. This is not what our founders envisioned, not by a long shot.
You might have noticed there were a smattering of empty seats in the House chamber last night. That's because dozens of Democrats skipped the president's speech. One who was there was Al Green of Texas. He had to be escorted out for holding a sign that read, "Black people aren't apes." That was a reference to a racist video that Trump recently shared depicting Barack and Michelle Obama as cartoon primates. You may recall Green was removed from the chamber last year, too, for heckling Trump. He faces a tough primary next week after 11 terms in office. Gayle?
All right, Nancy, thank you very much. For more insight, let's bring in our CBS News chief Washington analyst. There he is, Robert Costa. Bob, always good to see you. Other than the length of the speech, everybody clock that. What was your biggest takeaway, or some of your biggest takeaways from last night?
Great, Gayle, great to be with you. So much was said last night in President Trump's State of the Union. What really stood out to me was what was not said. He did talk about the challenges on foreign policy, but he has a big decision he still has to make about how to handle Iran and whether he wants to have a military strike to go after its development of a possible nuclear weapon.
Is there anything else where you said about not said? You know, there were some Epstein survivors who were in the room last night. You made no mention to them whatsoever. Did you think that he would? I think most people thought he would stay clear away from that, and he did.
And he was also not someone who talked about the Supreme Court at length. We saw it just in recent days. He was so frustrated with the Supreme Court's ruling on his tariff policy, but he held back a bit. And this is a president who does not often hold back. But you saw him trying to underscore patriotic themes, highlight Americans who have compelling stories of service to the country, while also taking on Democrats, calling them crazy, saying they're not addressing the issue of immigration or the economy. And you really see ahead of the midterm elections, this is a president who wants to be appealing to the center of the country, the undecided voter, while at the same time not always trying with a huge national audience to wade into some of these waters like fighting the Supreme Court.
Let's talk about that, the upcoming midterms, where the Republicans could take a beating at the polls if voters don't think the Republican Party is delivering on the issue of the economy. We saw the president last night blaming Democrats for the affordability crisis. How do you think this plays out?
When I'm on Capitol Hill, Nora, it's so evident that House Republicans, Senate Republicans are very nervous about the midterm elections and whether they can make the economic case. President Trump has been trying to reassure them behind the scenes. He did it in the speech last night. When I called President Trump before the speech, I said, what are you going to talk about with the economy? He said, I'm working to bring prices down. He blamed President Biden for any economic pain that people are feeling out there. And so you really see him trying to shrug off any criticism and push back quite hard against his critics.
And in your conversation with him, did you get the sense that he's nervous at all, or sensitive?
No. I mean, Nora,
not nervous about the
speech.
speech.
For a long time too.
I know.
Nervous is not a word I would use. Defiant, defiant as ever.
Bob, real quick before you go, what did you think about the reaction or lack thereof of the Democrats in the room? Did that hurt or help them?
It depends on whom you ask. Some Democrats say President Trump needs to be confronted in a pretty aggressive way. And in certain circles and on the left and center left, they were cheering those who were confronting President Trump in various ways, sometimes in ways that got a lot of attention.